Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
Today, we're going behind the scenes of a job you might not know much about.
But it's a job that's getting more and more important these days. The Call Center Quality Auditor.
So whether this is something you'd actually want to do or you're just curious about what goes on.
We're going to dig deep into
And
this.
we're doing it by taking apart this awesome guide from RoleCatcher.
They've got some really cool insights here.
They do.
Stuff most people outside the industry wouldn't even know to look for.
It's like they've found the cheat codes for this job.
Right, from like the everyday tasks to the surprising skills that really make a difference.
Exactly.
Okay, so when I hear Call Center Quality Auditor, I picture someone with a headset on, like glued to conversations all day long.
Am I close?
You're getting warmer. Basically, it's about listening to calls, whether they're live or recordings,
Okay.
and then figuring out how well those call center operators are sticking to the rules and meeting those super important quality standards that the company sets.
It's like being a detective, but for customer service.
Ooh, I like that. But why is this role blowing up all of a sudden? Is it just because we're all glued to our phones these days?
It's more than that.
The call center world is huge, and it's only getting bigger.
And companies are realizing that a really good customer experience,
Yeah.
that's their superpower. It's what makes them stand out.
RoleCatcher actually had this really interesting stat.
Oh, wait, before you tell me.
This actually ties into something else I saw in the guide,
They were talking about how automated recruitment is changing everything.
and how this quality auditor role fits into all that.
Yeah.
Seems kind of weird, right?
More robots means we need more human quality control.
It's actually brilliant. Here's why, with all these companies using AI to filter job applications,
Yeah,
your resume has to be laser focused so it stands out, right?
that's true.
So guess who looks at all those interactions and helps companies make their systems better, including recruitment?
Our call center quality auditor.
Wow. So they're shaping the customer journey right from the very beginning.
That's next level. But let's talk about the actual skills you need for this.
I'm guessing patience is up there at the top of the list.
Oh, patience for sure. But you also need to have incredible attention to detail. RoleCatcher does a cool thing where they break down the top skills in a really interesting way.
Okay.
Like, quality control analysis is huge. They say it's essential for something like 57% of the roles they looked at.
Wow.
But here's the thing. This skill isn't just for call centers.
Oh, really?
Tell me more.
Think about manufacturing or software development.
Anything where you need to spot problems and figure out how to make things better.
Okay.
It's all about analyzing processes and finding ways to improve them.
That kind of skill is useful in any industry.
So even if someone's not trying to become a quality auditor, just understanding those core principles.
That's super valuable.
Absolutely.
It's like a transferable superpower.
Exactly. And the next big skill, at 55%, is monitoring.
Now, that might seem obvious.
But it's not just about listening for mistakes.
It's about spotting patterns that tell you there are bigger problems.
Okay, I'm listening. Give me an example. What kind of patterns are we talking about?
Let's say you're noticing a bunch of calls about a new product feature that just launched.
Okay.
A good quality auditor, they won't just make a note of it and move on.
They're going to analyze those calls.
Is the product itself the problem? Are the instructions unclear? Or maybe the marketing campaign brought in the wrong customers.
Oh, interesting.
That's gold for a company trying to get better.
So it's like detective work, but with data.
You're putting the pieces together to improve the whole system, not just individual calls.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really cool.
Don't tell me there's a plot twist.
Kind of. RoleCatcher says you need some surprising skills for this job.
I'm talking really unexpected, like mathematics and chemistry.
Wait, what?
Are they like balancing chemical equations with customer complaints?
Not quite, haha. But think about it, call centers aren't just taking simple orders anymore. You've got super technical support lines,
Right.
healthcare hotlines where they're dealing with complicated insurance stuff.
Yeah.
Suddenly, those subjects don't seem so random anymore.
Whoa. So while communication and analysis are key, knowing about those specialized areas can really give you an advantage.
You got it. And that actually connects to another cool point the guide makes.
Hit me with it.
They mention how all these new AI tools are changing how call centers actually work.
Oh, yeah, like those chatbot things that answer basic questions.
Are those going to put quality auditors out of a job?
That's the million-dollar question,
But
right?
here's the thing. AI is only as good as the information it's trained on.
That's true.
Quality auditors, they're going to be super important for seeing how well the AI is doing,
Yeah.
making sure those chatbots are actually helpful,
Yeah.
and figuring out where you still need that human touch.
Okay, that's reassuring. So it's not about AI versus humans, but working together to create a better experience.
Exactly.
But for anyone listening who's now like, hey, this quality auditor thing sounds kind of awesome, what's the career path look like?
Is it like climbing a ladder, or can you jump in at different levels?
That's a great question. And luckily, RoleCatcher breaks down those career stages really well.
And you're right, you don't have to start at the very bottom.
Okay, so walk me through it. What's that journey like?
It usually starts with an entry-level position, like a call center operator.
Wow.
You're on the front lines answering calls, and it can definitely be tough dealing with frustrated people.
But the guide describes that feeling perfectly.
They've actually worked in call centers, haven't they?
It really seems like it.
They have this quote that says, "That feeling when you help someone who's totally at their wit's end, it's indescribable."
And from there, you can start climbing that career ladder.
So you start out as an operator, get that feeling of turning a frustrated caller into a happy one.
Where do you even go from there?
Well, as you get more experience, learn the ropes, you might move up to a senior call center operator.
So now you're not just handling calls yourself,
You're helping out the newer operators.
maybe even doing some basic quality checks on calls.
So you get like a sneak peek into that quality control world.
Exactly.
It's kind of like being a player coach.
Yeah, you got it. You're mentoring, looking at things from a higher level.
And from there, RoleCatcher says the next step is usually the quality analyst position.
And that's where it gets really interesting, right?
This is where all those data analysis skills come into play.
Absolutely. You're diving into those numbers.
Creating reports on how the call center is doing.
Basically becoming the eyes and ears of the company when it comes to what's working and what's not on those calls.
So you've gone from dealing with those individual calls to looking at the big picture.
Actually shaping how things are done. This is making me rethink this whole quality auditor thing.
But what about that final level, actually becoming a full-fledged call center quality auditor?
How is that different from being a quality analyst?
The million-dollar question.
And you know what? It's where a lot of people get tripped up.
Because both roles involve looking at things, finding ways to improve.
The call center quality auditor takes it a step further. They're not just giving advice.
Okay.
They're the ones making the decisions.
Oh, okay. So they're not just saying, hey, we have a problem.
They actually have the power to change things.
Exactly. The guide stresses that point.
At the auditor level, you're not just following the quality rules that management sets.
You're working with different teams to make those rules better, improve the whole process.
You're in the loop on how the whole business measures success, you know?
Which makes sense, because you need to know the why behind the numbers.
Right.
Not just whether someone checked all the boxes on a form.
It's about the whole experience for the customer.
You got it. And this is where those interview questions from RoleCatcher come in handy.
Oh, right. Like that one. How do you measure quality in a call center?
Yep, that's the one.
That's way more interesting than just asking, what are the quality standards?
Right.
Because it shows how you think, you know?
Exactly. And that's what I love about how RoleCatcher does things.
They're not just giving you the same old answers.
They're helping you get inside the interviewer's head.
Figure out what they're really trying to find out with each question.
So, in that case, how would you answer that? How do you measure quality? Question.
What are they really listening for?
It's not about having some perfect definition memorized, like from a textbook.
It's about showing you can really think about it, break it down.
Okay.
Maybe you talk about how a good quality call isn't just about how fast it is.
It's about actually solving the problem.
Making the customer feel heard, even if you can't fix it instantly.
Which takes us back to those AI tools we were talking about earlier.
Even if a chatbot can answer a question quickly.
It can't really connect with the person on the other end, right?
Exactly. You have to understand people and how that affects the whole customer experience.
And that's something a good call center quality auditor can explain, especially in an interview.
So it's not just showing what you know.
It's showing you know how to think strategically about the job.
Right.
You're not just there to check off boxes on calls.
You're there to make the whole customer experience better.
Exactly. It's like showing your work in math class,
The answer matters,
Mhm.
but how you got there is just as important.
Okay, we've talked about so much what a call center quality auditor actually does every day.
The skills you need, how to move up in your career, even how to rock those interview questions.
We have.
But there's one big thing we haven't really talked about. Technology.
That's true.
I mean, we touched on AI, but the guide focuses a lot on individual people and their skills.
What about how technology affects the whole role? How is that going to change things in the future?
It really is the big question, isn't it? I think it's on a lot of people's minds in this industry.
The guide touches on AI and machine learning, especially for analyzing calls and figuring out what needs work.
But it doesn't really get into how that'll change the job itself.
Right. Like, are we all going to be out of a job because some robot can do it better?
It's kind of scary, but also exciting, you know?
Yeah, I get it. It's both, for sure.
On the one hand, AI could automate a lot of those tasks.
Like finding potential red flags in a call, maybe even giving some parts of the call a score automatically.
So it could make things more efficient.
Which sounds great, but then there's the other side of it.
Exactly. If companies start to only use AI for quality control,
Then, yeah, people are going to lose their jobs.
it's something everyone in this field or thinking about getting into this field needs to really pay attention to.
So how do you stay ahead of the game? It's easy to say be prepared, but what does that even mean for a quality auditor?
I think it starts with changing how you think about it.
Okay.
Don't think of AI as the enemy. Think of it as something that can make you even better at what you do.
Like, would you be scared of a calculator if you're a mathematician?
No, you'd use it to do even harder math.
Love that. So work with the tech, not against it. But how do you actually do that? Do I need to go learn how to code?
You definitely don't need to become a coding master or anything.
It's more about just being curious, keeping up with things, and adapting what you can do.
Okay.
Start by learning the basics of AI and how it's being used in call centers.
You don't have to be a genius, just familiar with the lingo.
That seems doable.
Like learning a little bit of a new language. You're not fluent, but you can get by.
That's a great way to put it.
And while you're doing that, think about the things AI can't really do, at least not well.
Critical thinking, understanding emotions, solving really complicated problems. Those are the skills that make you valuable.
Those are your superpowers in a world run by AI.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And AI might be able to tell you if a customer is unhappy based on like keywords they're using.
Right.
But it takes a human to understand why they're unhappy.
To actually get where they're coming from and figure out a solution that really works.
100%.
Yeah.
You're not just an auditor anymore. You're like a customer experience strategist.
That's something AI can't just replace.
That is super reassuring.
And I think it gets to the heart of what RoleCatcher is trying to do.
Giving people the knowledge to not just get a job, but to really succeed no matter what happens in the future.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
It's about rolling with the punches and using change to your advantage.
Well said. Well, on that note, we've come to the end of our deep dive into the world of the Call Centre Quality Auditor.
A huge thank you to RoleCatcher for giving us so much to think about.
Seriously, listeners, if any of this sparked your interest, check out their website.
It's like having a VIP pass to this whole career path.
For real.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember,
Even in a world of AI and robots, it's that human touch that really makes all the difference.